Welcome to Humana People to People presentation, August 2011. With this presentation, we try out something new, presenting a program with its basic ideas, its achievements, and its people as a video put together from pictures and presentations to give all who are working in Humana People to People more insight into what is going on. This presentation of this kind has its focus on child aid. We will start with the history. From the very first day we started our development project in Africa, we met the children in need. In 1980, 2,000 children came back to Zimbabwe from the refugee camps in Mozambique and expected to find a school. They found nothing but a bare piece of land. Our task was to build the school together with the children, and thus the Chindunduma school was built. In the villages of Guinea-Bissau, we constructed 6 primary schools in the beginning of the 1980s. Many thousand school children participated in the construction. In these projects and many more to come, we met thousands of families, poor families struggling to cope with daily demands to feed their families and to provide health care and education to their children. In 1990, the Convention of the Right of the Child was adopted, and the heads of state met to discuss the state of the world's children, 1990. On the background of our meeting with the children in need, and on the background of a wish to be a part of the vast and broad effort of the international community as such to improve the plight of children, we started the Child Aid Project in 1990. Okay. In 1990, we quoted, "Our present trends, more than 100 million children will die from illnesses and malnutrition in the 1990s. These children will not be victims of any sudden flood or famine. There will be no television cameras at their death, no public outrage, no demands for action. They are children who will die little noticed by the world." This is a quote from UNICEF. Open quote. "The deficit is not primary in technology, nor in the finances, nor in the outreach capacity. It is in the awareness that the job can be done and in the determination to mobilize all possible resources to do it." End quote. This is a quote from DAPP. Quote, "In 1990 we wrote, development aid from people to people has the awareness that the job can be done, has the determination to mobilize all possible resources to do it, and has a long-standing tradition for carrying out what the organization has planned. In the decade preceding the year 2000, DAPP has planned 50 projects with the collective title DAPP Child Aid. Subsequently, that is what we will carry out." End quote. Consequently, we have implemented 51 child aid projects during the 1990s. Some of the projects started as schools under the child aid headline and are now projects in the sector, schools for children. Other projects were construction projects that now are completed, and others were community development projects, developing the community for the sake of the child. That was in the 90s. Towards the end of the decade, child aid as we know it today was developed with focus on the many different activities that we needed in a community to make it a good place for the children to grow up. We decided that a child aid project has 10 lines of activities to involve both children and parents and teachers and health workers and local leaders and many others in doing many things, and through that create many different and new ways of attacking a problem, new understanding, new habits, new attitudes and improvements that can be seen in the homes and in the communities. Child Aid has throughout the years organized the people in many different ways. We also see this as fundamental in achieving the changes that we needed. So this is a fundament of the project. People enroll and decide to be active together. They go together, they discuss, they take action, support each other, and make things move together. This goes on in the village action groups, in the parent-teachers associations, in the groups of the farmers, in the orphans committees, in the youth clubs and women's clubs, in the preschools where the children get together, and in many other formations. Child aid has a holistic approach to development. We include all people, the children, the parents, the farmers, the teachers, the neighbors, the local leaders, and the national governments, as well as the international partners. In child aid, people are in the process of creating better conditions for themselves and their communities. They work within the complex reality of life to find the solutions. Therefore, child aid has 10 lines of activities, attacking the problems from many angles, and we work with cooperation from all sides. We have reached many children in many countries, in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, but more needs to be done. Even though many children go to school and more children actually survive their 5th birthday, then we still have a lot to do, as we cannot be satisfied as long as the world does not give all children reasonable conditions for growing up. 1/3 of the world's population is children. This means more than 2 billion children. The case today is that 1 in every 4 children live in poverty. 1 in 2 in the Southern Africa belong to the big number of poor. This is a main obstacle for a sound and decent life. Here we tell about some of the consequences of poverty for the children. Child survival. 8.1 million children died before their 5th birthday in 2009. The main causes of child deaths are malnutrition, poor neonatal care, pneumonia, diarrhea, malaria, measles, and AIDS. In Africa, 1 in 6 children die before their 5th birthday. More than 1/3 of 8.1 million actually die because of undernutrition of the mother or the child. 1/3 of the children under 5 are underweight. In India, it is 59%. Malaria kills 900,000 people every year, and 85% of these are children under the age of 5. More than 125 million children under 5 years do not have access to clean water, and more than 280 million are without access to latrines or toilets. This is more than 40%. Children living with HIV and AIDS. In 2009, an estimated 2.5 million children under 15 were living with HIV. Of these, 2 million live in sub-Saharan Africa. Every day, more than 1,000 children worldwide become infected with HIV. Children without parents. 150 million children worldwide are orphans. Of these, 15 million were orphaned by AIDS. Zambia and Zimbabwe have some of the highest numbers, with around 2 million orphans in the 2 countries together. Children out of school. An estimated 90 million children do not go to primary school. 34% of children of secondary school age still go to primary school in sub-Saharan Africa. Only 25% of children of secondary school age attend secondary school. Children without registration certificates. Only 30% of all children under 5 have been registered, meaning that they cannot claim their rights, for instance, nationality and education. Child marriage. 45% of women who are aged 20 to 24 in South Asia and 40% in sub-Saharan Africa were married before they turned 18. In Africa, 25% of all girls gave birth before the age of 18. These are all parts of the conditions of the poor. They can be done away with actions that we make as human beings. In child aid, we join forces with the poor and engage the poor in a collective effort to transform the conditions, and in a long run, we can erase the existence of the conditions of the poor. There is still a lot of reason to make child aid projects. Where we have child aid, Humana People to People is running 65 child aid and community development projects right now. More than 300,000 families are active in the projects. Results from child aid in Zambia. DAPP in Zambia has made a very thorough evaluation of what we have achieved in 6 of the child aid projects between 2007 and 2010. In the following, We will go through some of the results and achievements from child aid in Zambia. Results are achieved among 60,000 families over a 4-year period from 2007 to 2010. Some basic information. Number of schools, 210. Number of villages, 1,273. Number of area leaders, 59. Number of VAGs, 1,248. Total number of households in the area, 61,233. Number of participating households, 42,548. Female VAG members, 20,648. Male VAG members, 21,749. The project has been working with 1,248 village action groups. The number of families living above the poverty line increased from 1% to 15.5%. Child malnutrition is reduced by 34.7%, while food security has increased by 24.4%. 78% of women take part in decision making, and 38% experience improvement in the share of work load in the home. On pass-on grants, there is a repayment of 59.7% goats, 101.3% chickens, 101.2 crops. 90% of installed hand pumps installed were functioning at the close of the project. 42% improvement in crop farming methods and 150% improvement of livestock management methods. 12% reduction in the incidence of diarrhea cases. 236 preschools were supported with training of teachers and supply of materials. Households with access of safe drinking water within a distance of 500 meters increased from 34% to 57%. Household with a standard latrine increased from 10% to 59%. The assets of a family tell about the increase in the income and their ability to invest this income. Here we see that in average, the value of the asset has increased from 1,454 US dollars to 2,277 US dollars over the 4 years. First, when a family earns more money, it increases their daily expenditures like more food, health care, and payments of school fees for more children if necessary. Therefore, increase in assets is a measurement of a surplus beyond the daily expenses. The number of families with a vegetable garden has doubled, ensuring better nutrition for the family. In numbers, it is 29,000 families who have a garden. We are very interested in creating communities where men and women as equal partners in development. Here we see that the number of households where they share the workload has increased to almost half, and in half of the households. Women are part of decision making. Still a long way to go, despite the improvements. The projects have secured that 57% of households have access to clean water within 500 meters in their home. 96% of the families have their own latrine at the end of the project. This is up from 67% at the start. So child aid can move the whole community to do the right thing when they have the understanding of the importance and the skills to make the improvements. A fantastic achievement is that the percent of children under 5 who are underweight has decreased from 46% to 11%. They get more food and more healthy food. Now, let's hear some case stories from Child Aid. Community Savings Bank in Child Aid, Ecuador. 39 community saving banks were established in 2011, and they are giving funds to their members to start their own small businesses. The project provides workshops and finance management. That means making budgets, cash flows, starting a business, and business operation. More than 15 individuals have started businesses from the Community Savings Bank program. The community savings banks are creating a forum for the families in the community to come together and discuss economy, find out how to generate more funds, and agree about what to lend their collective money for. Petronella Mtlanga, a Child Aid Tubatsi home-based care coordinator, gives in an account of how she is addressing the consequences of AIDS in Child Aid South Africa. One of my responsibilities is to support home-based caregivers in their door-to-door visit. Among the chronically ill patients, of whom HIV/AIDS patients are the prime targets. During one of the support visits, I met a sick woman in one of the villages our program covers. She had developed side effects from the HIV/AIDS treatment. The woman also explained about nightmares she had been experiencing during counseling. I explained the possible cause of such experiences and how the treatment works. It was not easy for the patient to understand, for I was forced to cope with the high temper. It was clear that her children and her other family members need to know about what role they have to play with regard to her current situation. I then engaged the daughter-in-law as I oriented her on provision of care and support to patients on ARV. So she took care of her mother-in-law. The patient is now better placed to cope with her situation as she is now receiving more support. Improvement in access to clean water and sanitation facilities. In more and more villages, the village development committees and water user groups are taking care of supply of clean water. The impact of the water activities and the increased understanding of how to prevent communicable and other prevalent diseases in some of the villages have made more and more people to practice active in the project. In one village, some from the project to poor families for the toilet construction has raised the toilet coverage from 40% to more than 90%. And in the trend in some of the other villages, although the number of families with toilets are increasing, approximately half of the households still do not have toilets. People have positive attitudes towards adapting health and hygiene practices.